The U.S. Senate just made a major move to try and end the airport security crisis that has been building during the partial government shutdown. After weeks of political deadlock, senators passed legislation early Friday to fund most of the Department of Homeland Security, including TSA and the Coast Guard. But the House still has to approve it before the shutdown pressure on airports can truly ease. And this isn't just another Washington budget fight. The shutdown has already slammed America's airports. TSA officers have been working without pay since mid-February. Wait times have exploded at major hubs. Absenteeism has surged and hundreds of TSA agents have quit. Reuters reported that more than 480 TSA officers have left during the funding lapse, while some airports have seen wait times stretch beyond 4 hours. This is the kind of story that every traveler, pilot, aviation professional really needs to be paying attention to, because this is no longer just about politics. This is about operational strain, national infrastructure, and a growing threat to the reliability of the U.S. travel system. The Senate has now passed a bill to fund most of DHS, but notably, it excludes immigration and custom enforcement and parts of Customs and Border Protection, which means the political fight is not fully over yet. House approval is still needed before the affected agencies can fully move forward. So what exactly happened? For weeks, lawmakers have been locked in a bitter standoff over DHS funding. Democrats pushed to fund most of the department while trying to separate immigration enforcement agencies from the broader package, trying those parts to stricter immigration conditions. Republicans had resisted similar proposals for weeks, but now the Senate has shifted and passed a measure that would at least reopen funding for key DHS functions like TSA. That matters because TSA is one of the most visible pressure points in any shutdown. You can hide dysfunction in Washington for only so long before it shows up in real life. And in this case, it showed up in airport terminals across the country. This story escalated because the disruptions became impossible to ignore. As unpaid TSA agents kept showing up for work, the financial strain started to break the system. Reuters reported that some workers were selling plasma, sleeping in their cars, and struggling with eviction and childcare problems. At the same time, absenteeism went above 10% nationally and above 30% at some major airports, creating staffing shortages severe enough that DHS had to deploy immigration officers and Homeland Security agents to help at 14 airports. Think about that. Think about how serious that is. When you have to start pulling in personnel from other parts of DHS just to keep checkpoint operations functioning, that tells you that the system is under real stress. And travelers felt it immediately. Major airports in places like Atlanta, Houston, and New York saw extremely long security lines, with some lines stretching all the way across the terminals, even going all the way outside. Reuters reported that wait times exceeding 4.5 hours in some cases during the spring break surge, when passenger volume was already running at about 5% higher than it was last year. This is a dangerous mix. More passengers, fewer screeners, higher absenteeism, and rising resignation. At that point, this stops being a simple budget dispute and starts becoming a transportation system vulnerability. The bigger issue here is confidence. Aviation depends on predictability. Passengers need to trust that they can get through security. Airlines need reliable flow. Airports need stable staffing. And air crews need a system that is functioning the way that it was designed and supposed to. When shutdown politics start pushing frontline officers to quit, you are not just creating inconvenience. You are weakening the resilience of an entire aviation system. And this comes at a bad time. We're heading into a period of heavy travel and demand. And Reuters noted TSA officials already worried about how the agency would handle future large-scale events if staffing problems continue. So now the Senate has acted, and that's significant. It suggests the political pressure finally became too intense to ignore. The Senate approved the package in a rare overnight session, marking a notable turn after weeks of gridlock. But again, this is not finished until the House acts and the legislation is signed. So yes, this is progress, but no, it's far from over. And here's the lesson from all of this. You can only push critical aviation infrastructure so far before reality pushes back. TSA officers are not optional. Airport security is not a side issue. And when lawmakers allow a standoff to drag on long enough for hundreds of TSA officers to quit, the consequences hit the public fast. And this is exactly why aviation systems need stability, planning, and leadership that understands what happens when frontline operations are treated like bargaining chips. Because once checkpoint staffing begins to collapse, the ripple effects move very quickly. Longer lines, missed connection flights, missed flights in general, exhausted workers, public frustration, and a growing operational risk. So now all eyes turn to the House. Will lawmakers finish the deal and stop the bleeding at America's airports? Or is this crisis about to drag on even longer? Let me know what you think in the comments below. Should TSA and core aviation security functions ever be caught in the middle of a government shutdown? If you want more aviation news, breaking industry updates, and real analysis on what these developments mean for pilots, passengers, and the future of air travel, subscribe to the channel and turn on your post notifications. As always, I'm Brian, your flying mentor, and I'll catch you on the next one.